My name is Christopher Wyman. I work at Oceana Restaurant in New York City, and today I'll be creating a dish out of red snapper ceviche rolled in avocado with tomato pearls and lemon lime air. The inspiration of this dish was to combine classical technique with modern technique, and the molecular gastronomy is my modern aspect of this dish. I had learned how to use these ingredients about 2 years ago at a Ferran Adria expo. And from there on out, I have been monkeying with it on my free time. Ferran Adria is a chef out of Spain who owns the restaurant El Bulli, and he is the father of molecular gastronomy, and in my eyes, probably one of the best chefs in the world. Some of the misconceptions of molecular gastronomy is that chemicals are used. In this dish, no chemicals are used. It's all natural ingredients. The lecithin is formed from soybeans, and the pearls were made from algin, which is a brown algae, and is also made from calcium chloride, which is a salt. The reaction between the algin and the chloride is what forms the skin around the balls, and the reaction with the juice and the soy is what forms the air. Soy lecithin could also be used as an emulsifier for impossible to make sauces. If you're having a hard time emulsifying sauces, you could add lecithin, and that will actually emulsify it. So now I'm going to show you how to make the red snapper ceviche wrapped in avocado with tomato pearls and lemon lime air. We're about to fillet this fish. What we're going to do is fillet the red snapper and then marinate it in 50% lemon juice and 50% lime juice. So what you want to do is start by the head, cut a line down just above the collar, and then you want to go down the spine. When filleting the fish, you'll want to keep in between the bone and the flesh, and that way you minimize the waste of meat. Typically, ceviches are not cooked. They start off raw. I think it's a misconception that it's cooked. It's basically the protein is broken down by the acid of the lemons and limes. It's not per se cooked. It's really just the protein is being broken down and it's no longer raw. So what you want to do is just slide the knife down and pull, and you pretty much are there. Now that we have the fillet all intact, we're going to take the meat off the skin. What you want to do is lay the fish down, start by the tail, pull on the skin, and push the knife forward. Next thing we're going to want to do is remove the pin bones, and we're just going to cut down the middle, seeing how we're going to slice it up anyway. Normally you could pick the pin bones out with a pair of tweezers, but seeing how we're going to slice it up, that's not necessary. Now we'll slice down the middle of the fillet and cut it into two to remove the bloodline. Next step is to slice it into thin slices. From there, you just want to drop the fish into the acid and marinate it for 20 to 30 minutes. Within the 20 to 30 minutes, you'll gradually see the color of the fish turn to white. Once it's white all the way through, you know you're done. And we'll take it out, rinse it, and complete the ceviche. The next step in the ceviche process is making the tomato pearls. And what I'm going to do with that is mix 1/3 of tomato juice, which ended up being 250 grams of tomato juice, to 2 grams of algin. And what algin is it's a ground brown algae from the cold waters near Ireland. What I'm actually going to do is dump this into the tomato juice. Where you can find the brown algin is online or through a line of product made by Ferran Adria. So what I'm going to do now is puree the algae with some of the tomato juice until it's completely blended. Once it's completely blended, you can add the rest of the tomato juice in with it. Because we're incorporating air, you're going to need to let this rest for about 30 minutes to an hour to let the bubbles reside. It plays an effect in the dropping it into the calcium chloride. So once this is chilled and set for about an hour, we have a bath of water and calcium chloride. What happens is the algae has a reaction with the calcium salt, and it forms a skin around the juice or whatever puree you're deciding to use. So what we'll do is we set this up and we take a syringe. We're going to take the syringe and put it together and you suck it out. Fill up the syringe, and right now I already have some ready. And what you're going to do is drop little balls into the calcium chloride. Once the balls drop into the calcium chloride, you want to let them sit for about a minute before you transfer them to a water bath, which will rinse it completely. As soon as the algae hits the calcium chloride, the reaction starts. Once it starts, it never ends. So you don't want this sitting around for a long period of time because you will no longer have liquid inside the gel. It'll completely gel, and the whole thing will be the texture of the skin that's already formed around it. So once this is set for about a minute inside the calcium chloride, we'll take our slotted spoon and we'll drop the balls into water. And from there, they're ready to go. Okay, the next step to the ceviche process is rolling the ceviche inside of an avocado. And what I do is score the outside of the skin in 4 different spots, peel off the skin, and then I'll use a vegetable peeler to peel the avocado apart. I find it's easier to do 4 scores instead of 2 because you're taking off less skin at one time. The next step will be to lay the plastic wrap down. So the reason for the saran wrap is to make a sushi roll. I'm going to lay the avocado down flat, paper thin slices, fill the middle with ceviche, and use the plastic wrap to help me roll. And then we're going to want to peel the avocado. So when peeling the avocado, you want to peel down several layers to get to the light green part so it plays as a contrast when lining up for the roll. You'll have dark and light green segments going on. I like to go a little longer than the roll size you're going to use just to cut the ends off to square them off. And it typically will take about 8 or 9 slices depending on how thick you slice them. So this next step is to take the ceviche and we're going to put it in the bowl. And we're going to take our herbs. So we have cilantro, the long green chili, and shallots. A fine dice of the shallots and the chili. Once we combine the shallots, the green chili, and the fish, we're going to salt it. Now we're going to line the middle of the avocado. And to begin rolling, we're going to take the plastic wrap and work it up and peel the avocado off the wrap and tuck it over the fish. Once you have it rolled, now's the time to cut the ends with the plastic wrap still attached. Before we finish plating, we're going to do the last of the ingredients, and that's to make the lemon and lime air. The next step in the ceviche dish is to make the air. What we're going to do is combine the lecithin with the lemon and lime juice. I have about 250 grams of lemon and lime juice and about 250 grams of water, along with about 2 grams of lecithin. And what we're going to do is add this into our mixture. Lecithin is a soy-based ingredient. It is made from soy, and it's broken down into a powder form, which we will then burr mix into the lemon and lime. I used the water to cut the acidity so that it's not so tart. Now the next step is I like to put a piece of plastic over the edge of the bowl so that I don't spray liquid all over the room. So the next step is to burr mix it. I start slowly and then put the speed up as I go. And I like to keep the head of the burr mixer under the plastic. What happens is when the bubbles form, we're going to let them stabilize for about 20 seconds before we touch them. You could achieve making foams and airs without lecithin, but you need to use a fatty product. It has to have butter, cream, oil, something with a lot of fat in it that'll stabilize the bubbles itself. In this instance, because we're using an acid, there's no fat. I added lecithin. There we go. We have our bubble bath. So we'll begin plating. After putting the tomato pearls on, we're going to add the lemon lime air. And what you want to do is just scoop above the surface of the liquid, and you'll have your stabilized air. We're going to put that on the plate. And we're going to finish it with a garnish of microgreens. And that completes the avocado wrapped ceviche with tomato pearls and lemon lime air.